Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now, guys? Liam Scales is great, and all of you are just going to have to get used to it. Whether it's the staff here at the Celts are here, or other Celtic fan media, or some other Celtic fans, Liam Scales divides opinion all over the place. And for me, on the pro Scales side of the fence here, I just don't get what other people are seeing that makes them think he's not up to standard and he's not pulling his weight and he's not one of the best things about this pretty shambolic season that we've had so far. In the video today, I'm going to be breaking it down for all of you guys to show you what you are missing about how great Scaldini, Liam Scales, has been for us this season and how I think he's going to grow into becoming a very important Celtic defender over the next couple of seasons. At any point in the video, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, maybe you cry. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers, boys and girls, all around the world, and we cannot do that without your support. Jump into the comment section on this one and let me know what you think about Scaldini. Is he the level that Celtic need in their centre defence, or is he subpar? I'll be fighting lots of people in the comment section after this one, I can feel it. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, this comes off the back of Celtic beating Motherwell 3-1 in the dying embers of the game. And again, a lot of fans very bemused by the performance, and everyone's picking over the bones of what's wrong with the team and if anything's right with it and everything else in between. And this is where the Scales conversation has just got to boiling point for me, because in this game we had no Carter Vickers from the start. We've had Carter Vickers in and out the team with injury, and every other defensive partner that's came along to play alongside Liam Scales has been and gone, and everyone has written them off and given them a second chance and written them off again. And between all three defenders on display in this game, Scales, Carter Vickers and the Rocky, Scales for me definitely shows the most well-rounded performance in this game in particular, as well as across the entire season. Now, I can feel a few of you already jumping through the screen at me saying, Quinny, how dare you say that about Cameron Carter Vickers? Big CCV, the fridge, is the best defender at the club. No two ways about it. But as far as the centre-back dynamic, the partnership goes, he's not the lead man in terms of when we're in possession and when we're going to be progressing up the pitch. Last season, it was very much Carol Starfelt, and all the kind of whoopsie moments that he had was when he's put on the ball. And in this season, it's been Scales that's been put on the ball the most regularly of the two, when they're both fit and available. And even in Carter Vickers' absence, it's still clearly the Liam Scales ball progression show that we have from the back. Now, Liam Scales has played 31 games for Celtic this season out of a possible 33, registering 1 goal, 2 assists, and he's actually won as a penalty kick. And what this graph shows us here is his ratings, his performances of actions that can be statistically captured out of 100. Now, statistics can only tell you so much. I can tell you by looking at this, but he is completing lots of successful actions in the game. And as you can see here, the scores never really dipped that low. The two lowest of the season is 33 out of 100 against Feyenoord, when we're down to 9 men, and 37 out of 100 against Atletico Madrid when we lost 6-0. Every single other game, he has had a huge net positive contribution, no two ways about it. But as any savvy football fan knows, it's not just about the statistics and what it tells you on the graphs and all that kind of stuff, but it's what you actually see on the pitch. What does the player actually do? But I do feel that because Liam Scales is involved in such a high volume of actions all the way through the game, that it can be, he can easily blend into the background in terms of a lot of the positive stuff he's actually doing. And because of that, what then comes into the conversation, or what has to take the context around all of this, is how you judge and what level do you judge your players to. So a centre-back like Liam Scales, who's going to be a high-volume defender, who we're going to be putting on the ball, asking him to get the defence into the half, and then from there, make good passes to help in the midfielders or like a Greg Taylor type or whatever. The key attributes that we are looking for from a defender like that is awareness, decision-making, and positioning. These three things make sure people don't make stupid decisions at bad times when they're out of position. Liam Scales doesn't do any of that. But Celtic fans will tell you he's full of mistakes, he doesn't pass the ball forward, and he's always exposed on the counter-attack. So if we actually have a look at the statistics, we're looking at the last 40 matches here. We've had 31 games across the league and the Champions League that this will cover, and there's a little bit of last season that maybe pollute these numbers ever so slightly, but they're actually going to work out into Scales' favour. Over the last 40 matches, would you believe Dyson Maeda is the Celtic player who has committed the most amount of fouls, but Liam Scales is sitting on 16, which, when you consider minutes played versus Cameron Carter Vickers, he's probably doing much better. A lot fewer than Greg Taylor, and not much more than Anthony Ralston, considering the amount of minutes he's played. Or Burnaby for that matter. And if we look at these same statistics over the last 15 matches, so something a bit more closer to recent form, Paulo Bernardo is the top fouler in the team with 20, whereas error-prone, exposed at the back, Liam Scales, where's he on the list? Is he even in the top 10? No, he's not. He's only committed 4 fouls in the last 15 games. In the last 15 games, he is the 3rd most fouled Celtic player. And over the last 40 Celtic games in League and Champions League combined, he's in the top 5 most fouled Celtic players. Meaning, he's strong on the ball, he's a problem in possession, and the opposition are forced to commit a foul on him. I hate it when defenders are really good on the ball. And over the last 40, he's more than doubled the amount of effective clearances that Cameron Carter-Vickers has captured. And what is an effective clearance? That's like clearances from a corner, from across from the box. An effective clearance, it is what it sounds like. For it to be captured as an effective clearance, it needs to safely get out of the danger zone or arrive in possession of a Celtic player. In the last 15 games, he's completed 63 of them. Again, almost trebling the next closest player, who is Matt O'Reilly. Over the last 40 matches, the only players that have played more than him have got more tackles actually won, and the amount different isn't really that significant considering the Johnson, O'Reilly and Taylor had matches bleeding into this L40 score from last season. And in the last 15 matches, he wins as many tackles as the fullbacks. In the last 15 games, he's blocked more crosses than anyone else, won more duels than anyone else, and made more accurate passes than anyone else. Now, he does have a lot of possession lost for him here, 180, but considering number 1, he's the highest volume player in the team, and number 2, what does that statistic mean? Possession loss, it can be actually something really good. One of the things Scales was absolutely amazing at in the Champions League and the bigger matches, he played fantastically for me at home to Atletico Madrid, home and away with Lazio, and at home to Feyenoord, where of course he got man of the match. But even a possession loss, a negative statistic, Scales is fantastic at recovered defending, where maybe a ball was getting launched in the counter-attack, and round about this zone here, especially Champions League, you see it domestically as well, but able to, get that ball and hook it out for a throw-in, allowing his teammates to recover, get back into position and ready to defend the throw-in that will come. And, I was really impressed how often he was able to beat his man and make those good decisions with his good awareness in the Champions League and overall in the league. But the main criticism I have of that is sometimes he could retain possession ever so slightly better. The Motherwell game, which really sparked off my annoyance of still the divide we've got with Liam Scales, has a fantastic moment that does show an elevation in his recovery defending game. Motherwell are defending deep in their half, and we see them try and launch the ball out of their half. Big Mike Naroki tries to take the ball on his chest and move in to the Motherwell final third in possession, but his first touch, it's like a trampoline that comes right off him. Motherwell get the ball, and within 1 or 2 touches, they have lobbed it over the halfway line, putting Scales into a one-on-one recovery sprint against Theo Bair, who had caused them a bit more problems in the first half. This guy's big, he's powerful, he's quick, and everyone is probably a bit nervous, but Scales has got such good awareness and decision making. He's already scanned the situation, and he can see he's got 3 players coming in recovery to support him as well, and as long as he can get the first touch on the ball and put it into a safe area ahead of his man, Theo Bair, who is really, a hard guy to beat to the ball to first, and then when you make that touch, you have to make it right, put the right amount of power on it, and put it into the right position, and it does. It gets it across the middle of the goal, the middle of the pitch. Greg Taylor can take 2 touches, and Callum McGregor is then moving back into the Motherwell half on the front foot, looking to keep Motherwell in their own half on the front foot in the attacking kind of sense. And that's a fantastic piece of defending. High pressure, one-on-one, when the game is still, out of our hands at that stage. But rather than playing it back to the goalkeeper, which he does quite often in that situation, it slows it down. It's extra time and minutes and yards to get back up the pitch. He's made that decision to keep it high up the pitch and do extremely well. Now we can see here Liam Scales has got the most amount of accurate passes for Celtic in the last 15 games. And in fact, even in the L40, last 40 matches he still reigns supreme and accurate passes into the final third. Over the last 40 matches, he reaches the top 5, which for a centre-back is mightily impressive. And in the last 15 games, he ranks third. Now, what does that mean, accurate passes into the final third? A lot of them are going to be these types of passes here, when they do break into these kind of areas of the pitch geographically. Once you get into that actual final third, which Celtic do get into quite often, Liam Scales is in this area of the pitch here, the nosebleed zone. This is not where the centre-back Like, it's what they can be if they play for a team like us who dominate possession. But when you're in this position here, you're then asked to play these passes that knit the ball around from left to right. Try and make those incisive passes if and when possible. But it is expected that this guy is going to be out of position if we turn the ball over. And it is the job of the other defender and a recovering midfielder to try and help them out. So seeing Scales backpedaling and recovering like we've just looked at, it's something to be expected. It's something that isn't a negative. It's not a mistake he's made that he's now having to run back, because we're putting him on the ball. And when you put him on the ball, he has to come up the pitch. And when he has to come up the pitch, other people need to worry about that and think about that. And the team need to adjust accordingly. But it's not just these tippy-tappy left to right backward passes that he does on this side as well. Again, I don't think the big man gets enough credit. If he's in these types of zones here, he is the most likely player to try and play this ball through for Kyogo or for Daisen Maeda. No two ways about it. Carter Vickers doesn't have that pass in him. Naroki does, but he's not really got it going yet for us, sadly. And when he gets into these areas here, yeah, his execution might not always be perfect in a lot of the actions Scales does, but his decision making is always on point. He always makes the right decision. He always makes the right pass, even if he doesn't always pull it off. Even in the Motherwell game, in this position here, he's fired a great pass into this zone here, trying to get Ida, McGregor, who's on this space here, or Daisen Maeda onto the ball. But he wasn't able to make enough of those passes into these zones here, because really, until Ida came on, no one was playing in these zones here at all. And if no one's playing in those zones, you can't make those passes. And as we see here, second in the last 15 games for accurate long balls, alongside the fullbacks, would you believe? The #1 player for passes into the opposition. And out of all those passes he's making, 26 of them are getting into the box. And 10 of them are turning into attempted assists, which is a shot on target. So he's passing the ball to someone and they're shooting on target. 10 times in the last 15 games. And again, unlike Carter Vickers, Naroki has kind of shown the ability or the desire to do this. But Scales, again, maybe not as often enough as I would like him to do. But once every match, once every 2 matches, he's not scared to space invade. He's not scared to try and run up the pitch and be that overload, be that extra man. If everyone's just standing on their heels, not moving, he will just keep going. He will just keep running. And we've seen a bit of this against Motherwell. I was so excited to see him taking the yards and driving forward like he did here. But again, this is maybe a bit of a microcosm of he makes the great decision, but maybe the execution is a little bit off. Greg Taylor, as you can see, is clearly showing for the ball to be played into his path so he can fire the ball across goal. But Scales puts it into his feet and continues the run. Taylor, unfortunately, here at this point, probably makes the wrong decision to try and play the cross in from his position rather than trying to feed Scales in for that momentum. Because if you see the area of the box that Scales is then going to run into, with the 3 bodies we've got attacking the box, he would be in a much better position to play that cross by continuing his run in a 1-2 there with Taylor. So bad decision from Scales, bad decision from Taylor, compounds it, and it becomes a bit of a nothing opportunity from an opportunity that he created. And I can't say this enough, he is firmly a strong 6 or 7 out of 10 in so many categories. And all he really needs to refine is just a wee bit of execution. And in terms of the defensive gaps that make form with Celtic, to be honest with you, I think it's a huge part that's down to the lack of cohesion. If we look at, the formations over this season so far in terms of how the back four and the defence is being composed, like, yeah, against Motherwell, we've got him, Naroki, Johnson and Taylor, which looks fine. But the game before that, Welsh and Ralston are in defence. The game before that, Johnson's back in for Ralston, but Burnaby's in over Taylor. The game before that, Welsh is out and Naroki's in. The game before that, Welsh is out and Vickers is in. Or Naroki's out. Vickers is out, Naroki in. Naroki out, Welsh in, but then Welsh was injured halfway through this game, if you recall. And again, the game before that, Vickers, and he was injured halfway through it. Welsh comes off the bench. Then we've got Vickers, then we've got Vickers, and then we've got Welsh. It's going all the way back to the Feyenoord game. So if you look at the amount of defensive combinations we've got, even just over the last kind of 10-12 games or so there, I think Liam Scales is doing a fantastic job to keep the ship steady and keep the defence as stable as it has been. I know it's been rather unstable, but as you can see, AJ's been in and out, Taylor's been in and out a bit more recently, and the whole other defender quandary this season has been an absolute nightmare. Need I say it again? This guy was brilliant 4 out of 6 games in the Champions League for us against really good opponents. We want to be building confidence in the team and building from a position of strength. And when we look at the defence, we know we're going to need a new goalkeeper now in the summer, and that'll be the next video that we look at here on the channel. But if we were to improve the left-back position, Alistair Johnson returns into form. Trust me, Liam Scales is going to look the player he is to way more Celtic fans a lot sooner rather than later if those transfers we're satisfied. And again, if I can say what we're judging these defenders on, Scales ticks all the boxes, already showed he can do it at Champions League level in terms of be himself, be an effective defender, clear the ball, make good decisions, progress the play when we've got possession. It's shown as he can do all that already. We know we need to get a new goalkeeper in the summer. Our left back has been long on the transfer to-do list for eternity, it seems. And if Alistair Johnson can gain his form back that we all believe he's got, and if, we can manage this whole Carter Vickers situation with him and the Rocky, maybe job sharing, the overall defence is going to improve so much. And Scales' talents, his ability, and his contributions to this team, I think, will be apparent for all to see in the next kind of evolution of the defence with a couple of transfers. Between now and the end of the season, he is going to be a hero for us because Liam Scales is great and you're just going to have to get used to it. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to drop a comment and let me know what your thoughts and feelings are on screen and now with some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Hail, hail.